to see you. I hope you're all sitting comfortably because we're going on a ride later. Oh dear, look who's here.
Yeah. Hello.
Marathon man. And his wife.
Sash?
Oh.
Hi.
Oh no, it's just, oh, there's Marathon, there's wife, yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all eating as well. Everybody's eating.
Who had cake earlier?
Might have.
Yes, you did.
Mm. What are you eating today, Martin?
It's yogurt with apple and seeds.
Oh, sounds good.
Very healthy.
Yeah, lovely.
Very healthy, yes.
Very healthy, yes.
What cake have you eaten today, David?
Dundee cake, Martin.
Oh, yes. I've got one of those on the go.
Yeah.
Ah, very nice. Very nice nuts. And this was infused with brandy. So it was very pleasant indeed.
You might need to explain what Dundee cake is.
Dundee cake is a fruit cake with nuts on the top.
Is it healthy or not?
No.
No?
but it's healthier than some cakes. Because it's got, yeah.
Do you want to go and bring it and show them?
No.
No, okay.
Just a moment, guys. I need to open the door. My daughter is coming.
Well, bye-bye, Lena. Shall we carry on without her? Shall we just kind of ignore her?
What's
You know,
Karen
yes.
got?
What's Karen got in her hand? We can't see it. Oh, she's stitching. Oh, is that still the lion?
Oh,
It'll be the lion for a long time.
Goodness,
yeah.
goodness. Right, so a beautiful day in Yaroslavl. It wasn't a beautiful day when we were in Yaroslavl, was it?
Windy.
Windy. Windy.
Cold and windy.
Cold and windy.
I didn't get to see Yaroslavl because I was poorly, so I stayed on the boat. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, hello, Julia. And Anna. Hello, Julia. Oh, sadly, Lena's back, so we're in trouble now.
Yeah, I'm back.
We were having such fun while you were away.
Okay, so we'll wait a little bit. More people are coming and then we'll start.
Ooh,
Oh gosh.
goodness.
Interesting picture.
So help me, Lena. The one with the tiger face.
Ah,
What's the name of that person?
Eleonora. Didn't you attend my Russian language classes?
No, we didn't.
That's where the truth comes to the surface, so to say.
If you knew my ability with languages, you would know there is no way ever I would attend a language class.
It's hopeless.
Absolutely terrible with
I
language.
think I'll still have a chance. Let's hope for the best. Next time I'm...
Okay. But next time. Oh,
Next time, I mean, when it finally happens. So
Yeah.
or maybe next time you are here, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, how about when you're next here?
Okay, so shall we start maybe? Let's start here because it's time.
Do you want to invite people to open their cameras?
Yeah, we'll do now, yeah. Okay, so hello everyone. Could you please, let us see your wonderful faces. It would be really nice to see everybody. So could you turn on your camera for now so that we could see you? So today is the 7th of June, and it means that is the beginning of our June project. So, and there is a wonderful adventure that you are going to, to take part in today, because during our June meetings, we are going to travel to different places in different countries. And today some of you might probably recognize Dave and Anne, and also Martin and Karen, who you have already seen before. So today we are going to travel with Dave and Anne to the place where they live. Yeah, so Dave?
Okay, well, I'm just going to set up my screen so that I can share that with you. And we're going to start with this picture to get us going. Now, if any of you read the information about today's session, you should know the answer to the question I'm about to ask you. And I'd love you to turn your microphones on if you've got an answer and just tell me who you think this man is. If you're really good, you could actually read his name on the screen, but there you go.
Can't see it.
This is Gustave Eiffel. Gustave Eiffel was a French engineer at the turn of the 19th into 20th century. Now, can anybody tell me what did Gustave Eiffel do that he's still remembered for? Go for it.
He do the Eiffel
Tower.
yes,
Tower.
yes,
That's
Eiffel Tower and the what's the name of statue?
Statue of Freedom, of Liberty.
No, he didn't design the Statue of Liberty. He may have done some of the engineering within the statue, but he basically designed the Eiffel Tower. So where is the Eiffel Tower?
In Paris.
In Paris, in France. That's absolutely right. So we're not going to France. So you'll find out a little bit later why I've decided to show you a picture of Gustave Eiffel, because he's a very important man with regards to the story I'm going to tell you. He actually built the Eiffel Tower in 1889, and it is 324 meters high. 324 meters. It is a big, big tower, and it was built for the Paris World Fair. And so we're starting off with Gustave Eiffel, and we'll come back to him a little bit in a moment. So let's now tell you where I am. If you can see that map, the red dot is where I am. I'm in a place called Fleetwood, which I want to put in context. That's London, where my pointer is at the moment is London. We have to come up from London about 250 miles to get to Fleetwood, where I am at the moment. Now, those of you who've heard me speak before will remember that I live in a very strange place that has water on 3 sides of it. So there's the map. I'm actually sat in my home about there where my pointer is at the moment, but all around us is water. This is the Irish Sea. This is also the Irish Sea, and that is the River Wyre. Now, because of that, Fleetwood is a very extreme place. There is literally one road into Fleetwood. It's that one marked yellow, and it's the only road in, and you can't go anywhere else from Fleetwood. Once you've got to Fleetwood, you have to come back again. There is nowhere else to go. So we live in this rather strange place called Fleetwood. Fleetwood is unusual. In the United Kingdom, most of the towns grew from villages, or what we would call hamlets. A hamlet is a village with 6 houses, something like that. And a village is up to 25 houses. I think it's something around there. So most of our towns grew organically. They were not planned. They were not engineered. They grew organically. And Fleetwood is unusual because it is a planned town. In 1840, there was nothing in Fleetwood at all. In fact, if you had a map from 1840, and I haven't got one today, it would simply say, on this area of the map you can see now, it would simply say rabbit warrens. Right? So it was a place that only rabbits lived, and that was it. There was one house in the middle of that map. In fact, actually, it's just off the bottom of that map. But there was one house, and everything else was barren land with rabbits. So Fleetwood is unusual because it's a planned town. And as I told you, it was planned in around 1840 and started to be built then. And the reason that it was built and the reason that it was planned is because a man called Peter Hesketh Fleetwood wanted to build a town that people could visit to visit the seaside. And so he did that, and it became what we would call a seaside resort, a place that people could come to visit the seaside. At the time, in the 1840s, 1850s, seawater was regarded as healing, and it was regarded as good for you. And so it was a good thing to go to the seaside and have a bathe and sometimes drink the water. Not so fond of that myself. So what you've got on screen at the moment is a poster for Fleetwood in around the 1940s, 50s, that one. And it shows some of the attractions in Fleetwood. Obviously, they weren't there in 1840. It was rabbit warrens. But then we came back to it. And as I say, it was a planned town. So I want to show you some of the special features of Fleetwood where I live. Fleetwood is the only place in the United Kingdom that has 3 lighthouses. Now, can anybody tell me what is the purpose of a lighthouse? Why do you have lighthouses around the coast? Oh, come on, somebody be brave.
The ships know where we go.
Sorry, could you say that again,
So
please?
ships know where to go.
So ships know where to go. Not quite. Usually, lighthouses are to tell ships where not to go. They are to say, this is a warning, flashing out, stay away. There are rocks here. There are nasty tides here. There are hidden ships or wrecks here. But they put lights on things to say, stay away. Not in Fleetwood. For Fleetwood, Grigoriev, you were correct. In Fleetwood, the lighthouses are to tell ships where to go. That's very unusual. And Fleetwood is the only place in the United Kingdom that has 3 of them. Now, I'm going to show you the 3. This is the first one. This is what we call the wire light. The second one is the lower light, and the third one is called Pharos. Now, has anybody noticed anything interesting on the 3? I'm thinking about their size. Can you tell me why might they be such very different sizes? There's the middle one, there's the lower light, and that's the wire light. Which one do you think is the shortest?
Maybe violet.
Yes, the wire light is the shortest. And the next one, keep going, Julia, the next one.
I think low light.
Yes, the lower light is the next one, and then Pharos is the highest of the 3. Fleetwood, for Fleetwood, because it's a planned town and they wanted to bring the ships in safely, and it's a very unusual approach to the town from the sea, they chose to build 3 lights, and what a captain did was to line the lights one above the other so that he could see all 3 of them. And when all 3 of them were aligned, when all 3 of them were absolutely one on top of another, if he took his ship down that particular line, he would bring it safely into the harbour. This gives you one of the things that's happened in Fleetwood. Fleetwood has had a lot of shipping over the years. But I was talking about the origin of Fleetwood, and I want to show you one of the early maps. This is 1890, And this here, where my pointer is at the moment, is called the Mount. Don't get terribly excited about the Mount. It's actually just a large sand dune. It's a really big heap of sand. A really big heap of sand, but nevertheless, a really big heap of sand. But the architect who designed Fleetwood chose to make the entire town revolve around the Mount. And so all of the roads, and I'm pointing out some of the roads now, they come off the Mount like the spokes off a bicycle. So if you imagine the hub of a bicycle and all the spokes going out in triangles, effectively, away from the hub, that's what he decided to do in Fleetwood. So London Street, the most important of the streets in Fleetwood, this one here, is actually a spoke coming off the Mount. And so the whole town was planned by one man. He said, I want to build this here and this here and this there and that there. And he built an entire town. Well, he didn't build it. The man who paid the money built it, but nevertheless, it happened. So that's why Fleetwood was planned. It was there to bring people to the seaside. Now, I want to show you another aspect of this map. Can you see that big black line there? That was the sea wall. That was where the sea came to in 1890. But then they heard about some very clever Dutch engineers, and they went over to Holland and they said, we need a bit more land in front of our sea wall. And so, working on the same principle that the Dutch worked on, they started to fill in all this area, and nowadays that is actually land. And my gym, where I go to do my exercise, is over here. Well, when we're not locked down because of COVID. And I'll be showing you some pictures of this area after they'd filled in more of the land and created more land for things to be built in Fleetwood. So I've told you about the Mount. I told you it was a giant sand dune. Well, that's what they put on the top of the giant sand dune. It's a lovely little pavilion. And at the moment, it's undergoing refurbishment. And it's costing, are you ready for this, £7 million to refurbish this particular building and the gardens that surround it. And that's going on at the moment. I haven't got a modern picture to show you that. I do have a picture somewhere of Anne putting plants in around it. Right, so we got the chance to take part. So that's the Mount. And now I want to show you from a slightly different angle. Now we're in front of the Mount and we're looking down towards the sea. This is in about 1930, I think. But can you see that? There's a pier. It's a seaside resort, so we need a pier. And there we are, the Pier Cafe. And the pier was built, and you could go down from the Mount, which is where these people are here, down onto the pier. And this is all the new land. Remember, the sea used to come right up to there, where my pointer is at the moment, where those cars are, and all this is the new land beyond there. And so that's the pier, and I thought I'd bring it slightly more up to date. That's the pier in 1967. I know that's still before any of you were born, but nevertheless, that's what it looked like in 1967. I'd love to show you a picture of the pier more recently, but I can't, because it burnt down. It is gone. It is no more. 2008.
No, 10.
No, 10. 2010. 10 years ago, this pier burned down. And so it isn't there anymore. Now, the other really important building in the town of Fleetwood is the railway station. And the reason that the railway station is important is that the plan of Peter Hesketh Fleetwood was to build this town to bring people to the seaside. How do you get people who don't have cars to the seaside? You need a railway station. At the time, there was no railway in Fleetwood at all. And so Peter Hesketh Fleetwood sank his fortune. He spent every penny that he had building a railway to bring it to Fleetwood. And it had the most magnificent station. Guess what? It's not there anymore. It was knocked down in 1987. And there is no railway now coming into Fleetwood. despite that was why the town was built. The town was built for the railway to bring people to the seaside. But now everybody's got cars and the railway has gone. So we no longer have a railway in Fleetwood. In fact, this old postcard from the 1960s has got 4 pictures on it. 3 of those things no longer exist. That's how fast change is. The pier, what happened to the pier? The pier burnt down. This was the lifeboat station, and that has now moved, and a more modern one been built. So that's there no longer. And the railway, the little railway, the children's railway, no longer runs. Thank goodness the swimming pool is still there, because that's where I go to the gym. And so I'm very, very grateful that we've still got our swimming pool. But Fleetwood used to have ferries coming in and going out to the Isle of Man. I'm going to let Elena tell you all about the Isle of Man because she knows all about it. It's a little island in the middle of the Irish Sea. But that was the boat that left from Fleetwood several times a day, 4 times a day, to go to the Isle of Man. And on this picture, you can see the boat there in the bottom corner. This is Fleetwood, by the way. This is an aerial photograph, and it shows you the docks. This is the docks here. The docks were very important to the development of Fleetwood. The pier is still on it, so this must be before 2010. And there is the boat ready to go to the Isle of Man. So that's a nice shot showing everything we've just been talking about. But I told you that Fleetwood was involved with shipping. And just to show you how busy it can be, that's the lifeboat house that I showed you on the previous photograph. And now you can see how many boats were trying to come into Fleetwood, into the docks here. I think on that particular photograph, somebody counted them. There's well over 10 boats trying to come in to the docks.
What do you think the boats were trying to bring in? What do you think was on the boats?
Wasn't people. Well, a few
Some
people.
were, but mostly there was something else.
Why do people go out to sea? Come on, they might even do this from Yaroslavl.
Yeah.
Fish?
Go for it, Olga.
Fish?
Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah.
Indeed, it was a fishing fleet.
Tons and tons of it.
And so there they are in the dock, offloading their cargo of fish. And I thought I'd show you some of the fish. So there's the fish that was coming into Fleetwood in the right up until about the 1960s. Are you ready for this? That's not there anymore. Fleetwood is a town that has lost many, many of its features over the years. But that was the fish market, and fish from Fleetwood went throughout the whole of the north of England. Fleetwood fish, if you spoke to somebody in the north of England and said, where do you get your fish from? The chances are they would say Fleetwood. And it still comes into Fleetwood. You can still get, Fleetwood can be a little bit smelly on certain days when the fish has come in. And so it still comes out of Fleetwood. But other things used to come out of Fleetwood as well. This is boats in the dock there with the lorries lining up to take the cargo. A little bit closer, we've actually got Spanish fruit coming off the boat and coming onto the dockside at Fleetwood to be distributed throughout the north of England. So that's Fleetwood. Now, one of the things I want to tell you about, because I'm involved in it, is the biggest event that we hold in Fleetwood each year. And we can't hold it this year for obvious reasons, but it's a festival of transport. It's called Fleetwood Festival of Transport, which is a bit obvious, isn't it, really? We have lots and lots of vintage vehicles, old vehicles coming into town, and it's a huge, huge festival. I didn't tell you earlier, but Fleetwood has about 27,000 people living here, about 27,000. On this day, Fleetwood Festival of Transport, we actually have between 50 and 70,000 people coming into town. And that is what it looks like on Fleetwood Festival of Transport Day. So that's an incredible number of people. And Anne and I have been involved for the last 7 years making that happen. We're about to give up, but it's been a major part of our life. Now, one of the other things that's unusual about Fleetwood, in fact, it's now the only place in England where trams travel up and down the streets. Everywhere else in England now, the trams have their own special area. They don't come up and down the roads, except in Fleetwood. And this is a very special tram. It's called the Fisherman's Friend tram. It's a boat-shaped tram, and you're going to see a picture of it lit up a little bit later. So we'll carry on, but Fleetwood Festival of Transport, we attract transport of all kinds. Trams, tanks. We loved seeing the tank. It cost us a lot of money to get that tank there. We even have large lorries. And the fun thing about Fleetwood Festival of Transport is that you can actually get into the vehicles. If the owners allow you, you can get into them. And so that is Fleetwood Festival of Transport. That's early in the day when everybody's still setting up. But we had a big lorry there so that people could get inside it. One year, we had a giant excavator. And you could go in it and you could waggle the controls on the bucket. You couldn't actually move it because that would have been dangerous. But you could, the three controls, the one that took it down, the one that twisted it, and the one that took it left and right. And I have a lovely picture of my little grandson sat in this huge excavator, pretending that he's digging out the sea, or the sand, perhaps I should say. So here we are in Fleetwood at the Festival of Transport, and I thought you might like to actually hear it as well as see it.
Trainer, I'm the artistic director of Left Coast, and one of my favourite events of the year is the Spare Parts Festival in conjunction with Fleetwood Festival Transport, integrating art and performance into a classic kind of transport classic vehicle festival.
What we've done with the arts is we've curated it so that the arts are all about transport. There's a transport theme in everything that we do, and we're the only transport themed arts festival as well as vehicle festival in the country, and it's absolutely amazing that this comes to Fleetwood.
The last few months we've worked with loads of different groups from across Fleetwood. I guess it's always really nice when you work at an event and it's very community owned.
It's really beautiful just to see the smiling faces of people enjoying themselves, having fun. We were lucky to have a beautiful day, and I think everyone's gone home with a real sense of having been entertained, inspired, and everyone laughed.
It was really nice. So as we walked along the parade, there was actually kids going, I did a hand for that. I think that one's my hand. Or, I think that one's my hand. So that was really, really nice.
We've had a real blast. We feel like we've really engaged with the community, and hopefully we'll build on that for next year. Already I saw like loads of people in the crowd with mobility scooters going, how come I'm not part of that? How come I want to be in that next year? So there's the hope for next year.
This is a way that people can start to see what the arts can contribute to their lives.
Days were so beautiful and well received, and we brought joy to people in Fleetwood and people who visited today. Definitely saw lots of smiling faces, and that feels like a good thing to do right now.
Wow, that was different, and that was fun, and that's what it's about. So we bring all kinds of art to Fleetwood as a result of the Festival of Transport and the event that we call Spare Parts. It matches in with the idea of Festival of Transport. This is one of our high wire acts. He was absolutely incredible. Just the week before he came here, he was actually at Glastonbury, and he was hailed by the BBC as the must-see act of Glastonbury. That's one of our exhibits. That's an amazing vehicle created especially for us. It's about 4 meters high. And if you look very carefully there, Lena, you will see I'm on that picture. Yes. Okay. This was one of my favorite acts that we brought to Fleetwood. This was the poetry takeaway. And it was in a takeaway wagon. You could go and order. It's a kind of wagon you would normally go and order your burgers or your sausage. Remember that? It's where you would go and get that. But actually, on this occasion, when you walked up to the wagon, you told them a story about your life, and they wrote a poem about it there, whilst you were sat there, while you were stood there, and they put it in a takeaway container, just like you'd take your sausage in, and they put it in the container, and you walked away with your own poem. And that was absolutely incredible. I love that one. Oh, wow. Shall we actually show you another few acts? Because I think this one is so much fun. That was an industrial robot that's used for dancing. Urban astronaut. Virtual reality swings. Urban dance. Oh, there's the robot again. There's the astronaut. That was an amazing act. Almost as good as some of the ones we saw in Moscow 2 years ago. Anybody fancy a go on that one? Oh, the crash test dummies. Back to the astronaut. Pirates. So I thought I'd show you a little bit of our big event in the town. That is the Spare Parts Festival. Time for a little break and a little breather. I'm getting to the stage where I'd like a drink, really. But you remember I showed you that picture of Fleetwood? There we are, all surrounded by water, lots and lots of it all over the place. But Fleetwood is at the top of a peninsula called the Fylde, which is a very strange word, even in English. A very strange word. And there are a number of towns down the Fylde on the sea coast. Cleveley's, Bispam, and then the one I want to tell you about most, Blackpool. Now, my question is, have any of you ever heard of Blackpool? Lena's saying yes. Irina's very quiet. Okay. Well, Blackpool is a very important place in the north of England. It's wonderful, of course, absolutely fantastic. But I want to show you one of the most important things in Blackpool. So here we go. Are you all sitting comfortably? Good. This is the big one. This is the highest roller coaster in Europe. You can see how long we've been climbing. We're not at the top yet. It is huge. Still not there. Nearly there. We're still climbing. Oh, we got to the top. The problem is now we have to come down. But it goes up again. And down again. Of course, the one thing you're not getting today is the wind blowing your hair. It would be vicious. You can see the hill in the background there. That's the first hill it climbs. And I must admit, although this for most people is the most important thing in Blackpool, I've never been on it. Never been on it. We'll get down to earth soon, honest. It's about 3 minutes, I think. Another 20 seconds before we land. A quick last bump, and then we come to a stop. Oh my goodness me. I think in total there are 14 roller coasters in Blackpool. It's not the only thing in Blackpool, but it's a very important part. The Pleasure Beach is a place that people come. Blackpool is a resort. It's a place people come on holiday, and 10 million people a year visit Blackpool. And this is one of the reasons that they visit Blackpool. Can anybody tell me what it is?
Blackpool Tower.
Blackpool Tower. Can anybody tell me who built it?
The guy from the beginning of our talk.
Gustav Eiffel.
Yeah.
Now, here's the question. Is it taller or not as tall as the Eiffel Tower? It was built... Sorry, who said taller? Grigoriev?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Good for you. Okay, it was built in 1894, so 5 years after the Eiffel Tower. But I'm very sorry to say it's not as tall as the Eiffel Tower. In fact, it's only half the height of the Blackpool Tower. 158 meters high. Sorry?
It's only half as high as the Eiffel Tower.
As the Eiffel Tower, sorry. It's only half as high as the Eiffel Tower. Each year we have an air show in Blackpool, and the Red Arrows come and fly over the tower. So I can tell you exactly what time of day that photograph was taken, because they arrive at the tower at 4 p.m. exactly on that day. And that is the most incredible shot of them flying over the tower. There's the tower from above. Now, any of you who know the Eiffel Tower will notice there's something different about the Blackpool Tower, and that is that it has a building at the bottom. The Eiffel Tower is just 4 legs that sit on the ground, no buildings at all. The Blackpool Tower has a huge building at the bottom, and I'm going to take you inside that building in just a moment or two. But before we go inside, we should go up it and look down. And that's actually the view from on top of the tower and the glass floor. And you can go and walk out on that if you choose to do so. We did it with our grandchildren earlier in the year, and it was brilliant. That's the tower at night, so I thought I'd let you see a couple of shots of that. And this particular one is the tower during a special event called Blackpool Illuminations, when the entire town is lit up. That is quite an incredible event. Inside the tower, we have a major ballroom. I don't know whether you have Strictly Come Dancing in Russia, but this is the Blackpool Tower ballroom, where some of the Strictly events are held. I thought I'd give you another show of it. It was designed by a theatre designer called Frank Matcham, and he designed this incredible room, and it is still incredible. You're going to get another shot of it in a video in a minute or two. But also inside Blackpool Tower, and in fact, in between the feet of the tower, that's one of the feet, that's another one, is a circus. Now, can you look at the circus ring? Is there anything unusual about that circus ring? Are circus rings usually light blue? They're not, are they? They're usually sand or something like that. This one is a circus ring that has a giant pool underneath it. And for the finale of the circus, the floor sinks into the ground and the water bubbles up. And we have a water-based finale in the circus. It's a permanent circus building. I know you have those in Russia. And it has a water finale. Do you remember that tram I showed you earlier? The one in Fleetwood that wasn't lit up? Well, here it is lit up, because another of the events I told you about is the illuminations, and we have special trams for the illuminations. And this is the Fleetwood Friend one. This is another boat tram. This is F736. And then you've got the railway tram, the Western Train tram. And this is the illuminations. This is a giant event. Millions and millions of people visit to see this. It costs about £3 million to put on, but £60 million comes into the town of Blackpool as a result of the illuminations. It's a real spectacle. And I'm showing you some of the modern ones. There's lots of older ones, but these are some of the illuminations that you can drive through. If you come to Blackpool between September and beginning of November. If you like, you can even pay and have your own picture put in the illuminations. And they turn your picture into a spectacular, colourful image, and they put them up in the illuminations. During the illuminations, the building at the bottom of the tower, they actually do laser projection onto the building. So we have films and things actually on the tower. That's a space-based one. For Tim Peake, I think. Oh, well, I told you we were going to see those trams again. Let's show you a little video of a special arts event during the illuminations. That's the ballroom.
With the world in it.
With the world in it.
Yeah, so I wish I'd seen those in Fleetwood.
I like that one. Football in the dark. Interesting. I've just taken you on a trip through the file. We're coming to the end now. I've got one more video to show you. But this is a place that is visited by 10 million people a year. What happens when you're in lockdown? Everything stops. Everything stops. Tragic, absolutely tragic. So I thought I'd show you what the place looks like now. This is just about a week ago. Thank you for coming to visit the Filed Coast with me. I hope you've enjoyed your time, and I hope that all of you one day will come to visit for real. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was really great. Like, it felt like we really visited the place. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, so now, guys, do you have any questions?
They're all always very quiet.
Everybody's under the impression.
I wish your teacher had as few questions as you. Because Lena asks me about 5 or 6 questions a week. I get these long texts from her saying, Dave, how do you say this? Or is this right? Or what's going on here?
I thought
Martin, do you ever get any of these? Sorry, Lena.
Yeah. Okay, Gleb has a question. Gleb, do ask.
Hello. So, you live in England, yeah?
Help me, Lena.
You are in England, right?
I'm in England, yes.
Yeah.
So, the Blackpool in 27, the Blackpool is the public show, yeah? Public show.
Public show, yeah.
Yes, the videos I've shown you are all public shows. They're all actually free, believe it or not.
Yeah, and they have some with some show with pyro, yeah, with
Yes.
pyrotechnic.
That was a Spanish dance troupe. They've been to Blackpool 3 times. They are absolutely amazing, but it's very scary.
Because I saw the man who dancing with the fire.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that looks dangerous.
It looks dangerous when you're there as well, let me assure you. We've not had any problems yet. Again, Anne and I have a little bit of involvement in that event. We've not had anybody hurt, but it looks so spectacular.
But they know what they're doing. They're very sensible about the way they do things.
Yeah.
And now the Blackpool is closed or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because,
yes. It's supposed to be closed. In truth, people are visiting, but they're supposed to stay at a distance, and it's supposed to be closed. But most of the shops, most of the amusements, because there's a lot of entertainment centres in Blackpool, they're closed. Most of the all the restaurants are closed. Sadly, the toilets are closed, which makes it rather difficult. Yes, it's quite difficult at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But David, are they now going to ease the restrictions like in a week or so, or not? what is going to there?
Shops are able to open not Monday tomorrow, but Monday a week away. On the 15th, shops are beginning to be allowed to open again. So it will be that some people will be coming back, perhaps.
Some of the cafes are opening, but they're only doing takeaway.
Yeah.
So people can come and get a drink and an ice cream or a sandwich, a burger or something.
Who had an ice cream this afternoon?
Me, on the not quite on the beach, but on the promenade, because where we live, we have a sea wall, a sea defence. That's because Fleetwood floods is so low because it's at sea level. We've had a lot of flooding in Fleetwood in the past, so we now have a lovely new sea wall that protects us, and we can walk on it. So there were people today walking and cycling, and with two friends, and we tried very hard to be socially distanced and 2 meters apart, and we walked up the seawall and we found a little cafe that was open and was selling ice cream, so we had an ice cream each. So that was lovely.
Well, here as well, actually, our cafes are open to take away, to have like takeaway coffee or whatever. Okay, so there are some questions. Svetoslav?
It was very interesting, and I have a question. What else attractions are there in Blackpool?
What attractions? Blackpool is one big attraction. There are arcades where you can put your money in. Do you have coin fall machines that go like this and money falls from one level to another? Do you have those? I actually have an arcade machine in this room. I have a penny arcade machine here. But there are big rooms full of those. You can gamble in Blackpool. There's 2 or 3 casinos. No, perhaps we won't go there.
The Sea Life World. So
Sea Life World, that's right.
Aquarium, so you can go to the aquarium.
There's a waxworks. You can go to see the waxworks. Madame Tussauds is in Blackpool.
There's a zoo, Blackpool Zoo.
Yes, there's a model village in Blackpool. Yes. It has everything. There's a wonderful swimming pool area. It's actually a fun area. I think they have 14 different flumes, 14 different tubes that you can go all over. That's called the Sand Castle.
And there are the rapids. You can get into one area of the pool and it's the rapids and it shoots you through very quickly. So that's fun. So there's quite a lot.
You should come to Blackpool.
Yeah, there's quite a lot in Blackpool.
Yeah, you know, actually, I've heard once that the programs, you know, that there are programs which are organized to take kids to England, like in summer, and Blackpool was chosen as one of the places because there is so much for children.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And there's also stuff indoors because it's often cold and sometimes windy and sometimes wet. So having indoor facilities is quite good.
Yeah. Okay, so Eleonora has a question.
Thank you for the answer.
Have you got a favorite performance from the festival in Blackpool?
Oh, a favorite performance from the festival in Blackpool? No, but I've got a favorite performance from the festival in Fleetwood, which is where we actually live, because I loved the robot, the industrial robot that has a dance troupe that work with it, and the robot tells a story. So do you remember the man attached to a robot with a giant drum, drumming on it? His name is Ulik, and he comes from Germany. He brings the robot over from Germany, and that is without a doubt my favorite of all the things that we brought to Fleetwood. I saw him in London, and because I get to make some of these decisions, I said, I want Ulik in Fleetwood, and we arranged it for the next year. So Ulik came to Fleetwood and did his performances in Fleetwood. It was magical.
You know, sorry. No, I wanted to ask you, because the first 2 videos which we have seen from the Transport Festival, I think they are on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so then probably because it was a little bit difficult to listen to people who were speaking, so we could just share the links, right?
Yes, I can.
The links.
I'll find you the links.
Yeah.
All of the videos I've used today. Actually, no, I might be telling you, 1 or 2 of them might be ones that only I have. because I'm involved with the event. But I'll try and find them on YouTube, and if I can, I will send you all the links. I think most of them are on YouTube.
Yeah, well, the Blackpool ones were okay because it was like more or less fun, yeah. But the festival ones, or the transport festival ones, it was very difficult to listen to people speaking.
I'll find them for you.
Yeah, I think that there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I should be able to find both of those. Yeah.
So then we will share the links so that you will be able to watch them again and to listen properly and
Brilliant.
enjoy it once again. Okay. Are there any more questions?
Karen's very quiet. She's dying to come back to Blackpool, you see.
Now we all
She's unmuted herself.
There we go.
In case anybody hasn't heard this before, Karen and Martin are our very closest friends. We've known them for over 40 years, and we travel around the world together. So we all met Lena when we came to Russia 2 years ago, and she had to look after us and try and keep us out of trouble.
And she did a brilliant job.
Yes.
I loved it. Yes, it was great. Yeah, and actually Martin is also going to tell you about the place where he lives in one of our June stories, in one of the adventures of June. So please follow us.
They don't have any roller coasters where he lives.
It might be more historical because I'm going to be telling the story.
So it's Karen, not Martin.
So it is going to be me.
Yeah.
And it's going to be about Somerset, or the county that we live in. And it goes back, the history of Somerset goes back thousands of years. So I'm going to start right at the beginning. But we have a superb carnival to finish off with.
Yes.
So it won't all be boring history.
Oh, who was talking about the fire? It was one of you.
Yeah.
Right. If you like fire, you'll enjoy their festival.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now you have something to look forward to. Variety is great, actually. So any more questions? We have only 5 minutes left, so don't be shy.
Irina, when are you going to come and visit us in Blackpool?
Irina, we can't hear you. Can you unmute your microphone?
Well, yeah. Well, I would love to go there because I am a fan of ballroom dancing.
Ah.
And I know about Blackpool because of that. Well,
Yes.
both my children, well, did that when they were kids, and we were dreaming of going there, so it would be really great.
There are 3 big dance festivals each year, and most of them use the ballroom there. There's actually another major ballroom in Blackpool called the Empress Ballroom, and that's used as well. The Empress Ballroom tends to be used more for modern dance, but the ballroom dancing is mainly in the Blackpool Tower Ballroom.
Yeah, so that's my dream, actually.
Well, when you come, if you get in touch with Lena, come and stay with us.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh, thank you so much.
make it possible.
Thank you very much.
Be a pleasure.
So sweet of you.
Yeah, actually, now that we were talking, I actually remembered that one of my friends who were a professional ballroom dancers, they took part in the competition in Blackpool.
Yeah. Some people
yeah.
who took part in those competitions, our teachers.
Yes, there's a couple of Russians in Strictly in the professional dancers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Russian dancers are kind of good.
Yes, I believe you. It doesn't take very much to be better than me.
No, it doesn't. No.
Right. Well, it's been lovely. Thank you so much for having us back. We do appreciate it, and we do hope that we'll see you sometime. Oh no, Martin's back. We'll see you sometime in England, and we hope you enjoyed your visit.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. Yes, we really felt like we visited the place, right? Didn't we? So it was great. I hope that everybody enjoyed our first Sunday summer trip and we'll be looking forward to seeing you next Sunday. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.